Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another episode of the week that was on the Yakking Show. And we're talking on Thursday, the 12th of October. So we're covering the week ending Friday the 13th. And that's an auspicious day for many people. But before we get into that, and there's something to talk about on that, let's welcome co-host Kathleen Beauvais. Hi, Kathleen. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And with the weather's not bad for this time of year. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry I don't still have a motorbike because for those people who live in Ontario, where we live in Canada, Friday the 13th traditionally is when all the bikers head off to the little town
Port
of Port
Dover.
Dover
That's
on
right.
the lake, and they don't cause trouble. It's always very peaceful, but there's lots of police in attendance, of course. They all behave themselves, and it's a huge economic boost for the little town of Port Dover. So we hope that the rain holds off. We could get rain this evening, and that they have a good day of it. They'll need to
That's right.
dress fairly warm. I think we're sitting at 9 degrees centigrade right now, but it's going up to 15. So that's something for Friday the 13th. All sorts of other forecasts for Friday the 13th, mostly doom and gloom. So we're not even going to mention those. We'll leave those alone.
Yeah.
But what are we going to say? We've got to talk about our guest the interview we published this week, and that was Robin Smart from the Alzheimer Society of the Waterloo region in Ontario here. But she's very knowledgeable on Alzheimer's. So what did you think of what she had to tell us, Kathleen?
Goodness, Peter. This interview went a little bit longer than what we normally do. It's
Hmm.
almost an hour long, but I'll tell you, it was jam-packed full of absolutely relevant and interesting information about dementia in
Hmm.
general. And some, of course, talking about Alzheimer. But, there's so much that there's so much to know about this condition. And I had no idea that there were so many different types of dementia. What did she say, Peter?
Yeah.
Was it like something like 200?
Well, something like that. It was in the hundreds. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
200 different types. And she
Yeah.
goes on to give us advice on the different symptoms to look for, when to start to consult a physician if you're worried that somebody might be experiencing some cognitive decline. She talked about how you can communicate with somebody that has some dementia and what things to avoid saying, things you should say. It was just so knowledgeable. She is quite the educator, isn't she?
Oh, absolutely. And I found from my advanced age of 73, I found it really reassuring because I asked her some questions that I was getting worried about. And she says, look, if you go, and she used the basement story. She said, if you go down to your basement and you get to the bottom of the stairs and you can't remember why you came down, she said, that's normal. We do that. She said, and normally halfway back up the stairs, you'll remember you came for in her case, a pot. She said, if you get down there and you can't remember what day it is, then that's a sign that you might have serious problems. And things like we all do it, losing our keys and that shit. That's quite normal. Don't have to worry about that. So I found that reassuring. One of the worrying things that in what she had to say was the what do they call it? Dementia that affects young people can affect people as in their 20s, right? And I never realized that, and that is dementia. So that was a worry. And picking up on what you said on communication, she said, don't ask people questions. She said, start with, do you remember, or a story, or be very careful with your communication. And she explains that in the interview. So for any of our audience, any of you listening today who've got people that you're concerned about, elderly relatives or friends, listen to the interview and it'll give you some good pointers on how to determine whether they perhaps are showing signs of dementia or it's just normal aging. So that was good. And then,
Absolutely.
of course, sorry, is there any more you'd like to add
No, go
about
ahead. Go ahead.
Robin's?
Mhm.
I think the last point on Robin's one, although she's specifically in part of Ontario, she says there are Alzheimer societies all over the world.
Mhm.
So wherever you're listening or watching this you'll have a local society that you can get hold of should you be concerned. So that was our guest that we published on Tuesday. Coming up next week is Dr. Reesa Woolf, another really entertaining guest. She is an expert on public speaking, and she teaches particularly busy executives how to be better public speakers. And that was both a very entertaining episode and a very informative one for anyone who wants to improve their public speaking. And I remember, Kathleen, you asked us something specific about how to get over something. Do you remember what that was?
Oh, just the fear, because
Oh, that's right.
how many people, just the thought of standing in front of a room full of people just gives them just stomach upset is what I said. And
Right.
she gives you some wonderful tips and tricks on how to cope with that so that you're able to stand up in front. And no, she doesn't talk about visualizing people naked. No, she
No,
doesn't.
no.
But that's
She didn't.
yeah, it was very informative.
Yeah, that's a really good one. So anyone who's got to do some public speaking or nervous about public speaking, watch that one coming up next week. You'll pick up some good tips there. And
Yeah.
then we've interviewed a couple of other people this week and last week, and their episodes will be coming up in October and November. Some really entertaining guests that we've and guests who are very helpful in various aspects of both business and health, all coming up in the months to come. Now we need to get on to our health recommendations. So, Kathleen, what have you got today?
Well, Peter, it's a product that, of course, I use myself. It's a Dr. Morse product, and it's called the Ultimate Salve. So this little gem, and you can see I've used quite a bit of it already. Um, it's jam-packed full of organic ingredients that are all geared to help heal the skin, soothe the skin. So I mean, I put it on if I have a cut or something, I put it on that. If I have any abrasions or anything like that, I put this on. And it for me, anyways, I can speak for myself. It just helps the healing process. And it's very soothing to the skin. So I highly recommend Dr. Morse's The Ultimate Salve.
Wow, I wonder, would it do any good for me? I'd have to buy it in like a oil drum size. I guess I'd need to put so much on, and I think perhaps I'm beyond repair. But looking at you and your beautiful skin, then
Oh,
it obviously works. So there we go.
well, you
So
know what,
that's
Peter? I do put it on my face. I honestly, because there's so many wonderful organic ingredients on there in this little jar, that I do actually use it sometimes as a moisturizer. So
there you go.
that's me.
Very good. Good. Well, that's really what we had this week. We'll be back next week. Kathleen, is there anything you wanted to add?
I think we've covered everything, Peter. So if anybody, I just want to mention this, if anybody is interested in being a guest on our show, please visit us at theyakkingshow.com. All you need to do is click on the contacts tab, where you will find a short application form. Anything you'd like to add, Peter?
Just as we mentioned, we've had another interesting guest published this week. More to come. Make sure you don't miss them by signing up for our weekly newsletter, where we only send you one email a week and we tell you who was on this week, who's coming next week, and always a health tip and a couple of other little items of interest. There's forms on the website, theyakkingshow.com. That's
All
it
right.
from me. Until next week. Thanks, Kathleen.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.